Hello and welcome to Pompey Talk in partnership with Janley. My name is Mark McMahon and join me in the studio today to discuss Pompey's game against Wycombe is new sports writer Jordan Cross. Jordy, welcome. Pompey going into this game looking for 4 in a row, something you couldn't really predict a couple of weeks ago.
It's fun, isn't it, how the sea change, how it works like that. As we've spoken about before, one of Cook's bugbears is how people perceive things. They should have a more of a longer outlook on things as opposed to reactive responses so quickly from game to game. But 4 wins on a bounce is potentially on this weekend. Pompey looking fairly rosy in the formative League Two table that it is. Early stages yet. But it's what you're seeing on the pitch as much as anything. That's what you're making judgments by, and there are signs of encouragement. There's signs of areas that need to be improved, but largely, reasons to be cheerful.
What do you put that down to? The fact that they're going for 4 in a row. What has happened?
Probably not a lot. If you look at what's happened from the first game of the season, the draw against Carlisle, they created 25 chances. Then just they didn't get the rubber of green that day. Crewe, they played okay in spells. Then came Morecambe, of course, where they again created 25 chances. But there's obviously, when you look at the last weekend, it's greater cutting edge. That was the frustration of the first games, that for all the chances they were creating, they weren't looking like they were going to stick the ball in the back of the net. The way they started last weekend, what came their way, they were clinical. Curtis Main got himself a couple of goals. They looked like they were going to score from different areas of the pitch. But what was crucial about last weekend was the way that they pressed and the way that they moved the ball quicker than they have done in previous games. That was what set the stall out, set the platform to go and get the victory. And that's not always been the case, I guess, at times. But it's only small margins, but you need to really play and set the tone early doors. It's something that Ender Stevens has picked up on against teams. If teams are going to park the bus as they talk about, you've got to kind of move the ball quicker. And of course, that was a factor that Crawley come out and wanted to play last weekend. Not many teams that come to Fratton Park. And this might be an interesting one on that note. This weekend might be quite so expansive.
Okay, sorry, I thought you were going to carry on.
That's all right. You can join in any time you want, Mark.
Focusing on Wycombe then, you spoke to their reporter yesterday. He gave you a few interesting details. They've got a hell of a lot of injuries, haven't they?
Well, that's the key thing from the Wycombe end. The fact that they punch above their weight, and I know it's a big bugbear of Gareth Ainsworth's that they have a small budget, and he hasn't been shy about pointing out that fact. Which has irked some Wycombe supporters, but it's the number of, they've got 6 or 7 kind of regular first teamers out. They've kind of gone out and got a few in the summer, but the likes of Weston, who's made an impact there, or they were hardly thought of, they're among the players that are going to miss out, and it's hit their form. So what was kind of a pre-season of optimism at Wycombe, where they were looking at what they've done in recent seasons. I mean, they were there or thereabouts most of the way last term until they got to 61 points, and then they barely could pick up a win. That was a target that Gareth Ainsworth set, and then once they hit it, they just seemed to drop off. But they were right in the playoff picture before that, weren't they? And then obviously the year before they did well, and were minutes away from going up. So that was the kind of what they were looking at, the parameters for this season, but that's changed very quickly, and now Gareth Ainsworth is saying, with all these injuries we've got, we need to avoid a relegation battle and stay in touch. So,
he's done it, David Moyes there, and he's already said, so we're in a relegation scrap here potentially.
That's some going sort of 5 or 6 games into the season, isn't it? Yeah. How to fill your fans full of optimism, but I think that's probably the way they're looking at it, isn't it? They can regroup, get their players back, and then kick on from there. But you've got to be, if you're looking at being involved this season for Pompey, you've got to be looking at turning Wycombe over. They're right for the picking, really, with the problems they've had. And Pompey have got to be looking at, even if they do come down and make things difficult for them, this should be a match that they should be winning. Having said that, probably go and break a few coupons this weekend, won't we?
Probably, yeah. Well, bear in mind their problems that they have. You do suspect Wycombe are going to be one of these teams that does come to Fratton Park then, and they say
you're going to say the words,
park the bus,
the dreaded words, park the bus.
Yeah, the last season obviously they were notorious for time wasting and all that.
Well, that's the thing with Wycombe, isn't it? Yeah, the fact that in the past couple of seasons, Andy Orford, there was a big talking point when they came down. He was angry enough to come out and speak publicly about the time wasting situation with Wycombe, and again, and Paul Cook last season. So. It seems, we were talking about it with my colleague Neil yesterday. We're going to try and find out how many goalkeepers have been booked
for time
at Fratton Park, because There seems to be quite a few now, doesn't there? I mean, to the point where the fan had to leg it on the pitch and felt the need.
Kick the ball.
Yeah, don't do that though.
Yeah.
Costs money.
You've been warned.
Don't do that again. So yeah, but that summed up the frustration that we face, and this is going to be what happens again. This weekend if they they're renowned for it, I dare say they will revert to type and try and slow the game, and that's their prerogative. If they it's not down for Wycombe to make life easy for Pompey.
Exactly.
I know it's this kind of anti-football that you get, and if you're a purist, you've got a good you can take the moral high ground on that one, but they're going to slow the game down, and as much as Paul Cook wanted Pompey to slow the game down before half-time last week against Crawley, when he didn't want to ship a goal before half-time and go in 3-0, and you've got to show that game management.
Yeah,
that's the key word that we hear nowadays. But there's levels of that, and I think some teams are taking it more to more extremes than others. We'll see what Wycombe brings this weekend, but you've got Ack and Fenway likely to be in there, isn't he? Or Hayes is the old war horse going around. You can see him kind of battering people around and trying to sort of play on scraps there, and the rest of them trying to get behind the ball and make life tough for Pompey.
Well, of course, we're only second guessing what their tactics will be, but if Wycombe do come and park the bus, are you anticipating Paul Cook to maybe change his tactics, maybe go with the two up front that
No.
he has said he will go with at home?
No, well, I did think about this because Pompey last week they went with the 4-2-3-1 that Paul Cook prefers. He felt justification in that when you look at how they performed, and there's a kind of an optimism and an impetus going into that. Obviously, Wycombe present a different set of constraints really for Pompey, so they may have to look at that at some point. But I don't anticipate Paul Cook changing things. I think it'll be the same starting 11 as last weekend, and quite right too, because they earned their spots, particularly the likes of Gareth Evans, who impressed in that makeshift right back role. So you've got Michael Smith, who got that hat trick. Connor Chaplin, we all know that everyone wants to see him, and Noel Hunt, who we pick up on in the news tomorrow, who's been a kind of set with cameos so far, coming off the bench, and Paul Cook talked about how important he sees him moving forward. Main with 2 goals, I think he'll probably start up top. Gary Roberts has been doing well behind him. Why should he change that? Yeah. Obviously, one we spoke to this week and previewed, and he's in confident mood. Laukovic, and a good lad, and seems to be settling into the place now. He just wants to get on that score sheet, as he was saying. He was hungry to do that. But I mean, the ball through, for the first goal last week, it was one of those beautiful balls where he just weighted it perfectly inside the fullback. Ender Stevens gets around the side, and Paul Cook rightly points out, if they'd probably been playing 2 up top, that goal wouldn't have happened, because the players wouldn't have been in those positions to create that. So again, that was some more justification for Cook.
Well, Cook Geordie obviously has options coming from the bench. One of those is Cal Naismith as well, and he got some good news yesterday as well. Yeah,
off the transfer list. Well done, Cal. Quite what that means, seeing as you can't buy or sell players until January. I'm not quite sure of the significance of that, but what the significance of that is that Cook was looking to praise Cal, and he was at pains to point out how well he's done. He wasn't the most popular man around the place for good parts of last season because of his attitude, but Paul Cook's so impressed with the way he's turned it around. He's got his head down. He's impressed in training a lot. I know that they said that day to day in the sessions he's really looking the part, and he's turned it around now. So off the transfer list, it's a good news story for Cal. He's got a couple of years in here, and there was talk about the likes of Cambridge, I think, at one stage or other, and a few clubs showing interest. But now he's here, and he looks like he's in front of Carl Bennett at the moment, on the strength of the past couple of games. The minutes him coming off and making an impact. So. And he, Cook says he's among the most talented players at the club. There's no question about that. But he can be a frustrating watch sometimes. But if he can get him playing more consistently, make an impact on games, and more up for it, I mean, he could be have a useful part to play this season. Yeah.
Okay. And one person who won't be involved tomorrow is Drew Talbot. Yeah. He got some bad news. Yeah. He's going to be out for quite a while. How big a blow is that? And have Pompey got options there?
6 to 8 weeks for Drew. He's injured his hamstring in training literally the last minute of the session on Thursday last week. So it's a blow for the lad, because he was starting to find his feet, I think, a bit more after a kind of a steady if unspectacular start. Sort of jury was kind of out of him on him at the moment, so it's a blow. But I mean, the way Gareth Evans came in after a shaky start at the weekend and really grew, that impressed Cookie, so much so that he was looking at bringing an out of contract player to cover the absence of Drew. Now that's not going to be the case. So he doesn't feel the need to with Gareth impressing. He can turn to him. Adam Buxton coming back now. We're looking at him being back in a week or two. Yeah. Maybe even the Premier League Cup game on Monday. In young Calvin Davis there. So good options there. No need to dip in, and hopefully Drew can get back in good time.
Okay, and finally for me, obviously going back to the game itself.
Yeah.
What's your predictions then?
I'm upbeat. I tend to be an optimist. Yeah, I think it all points to a victory this weekend, but now I'm going to go and break everyone's coupons by saying they should chuck it in their acca. So sorry if I do, but it's got all the hallmarks. It should be set up for a game. Pompey need to win if they're going to go and kick on matches like this. Wycombe are kind of walking wounded. They will park the bus, but you hope Pompey got the minerals to be able to break them. And if they're going in confident form, I'll see a Pompey win 2-0.
2-0. Good stuff. Well, thanks for your thoughts, Jordy.
Cheers.
You'll be watching Pompey Talk in partnership with Jan Leap. We'll see you all again soon. Goodbye.